In this video, we'll look at how Dr. Robotnik's design from a short-lived TV series became the dominant look of the character for much of the 1990s, at least in the UK. Does anyone remember The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog? In case you're not familiar with it, it was the first ever Sonic the Hedgehog TV series. It started airing in 1993 and ran for one 65-episode season. And it was a weird show. It took a handful of elements from the video games released at the time and then piled them under mountains of slapstick nonsense, bizarre storylines, and hideous designs. As a Sonic-obsessed 8-year-old at the time, I remember how thrilled I was that we were getting a Sonic TV series. I could barely contain my excitement as I tuned into the very first episode on that fateful Sunday morning on Channel 4. But my god, I was disappointed. Don't get me wrong here, as a Sonic mega fan, I still tuned in every week and watched it to the very end of the series. But I was always just making do, as that's all we had back then. I knew it was nothing like the Sonic the Hedgehog that I knew and loved, but such was my brand loyalty that I watched it regardless. It was better than nothing? Look at this mess. Whose decision was it for this series to look like this? Look at the state of these badniks. Was this supposed to be an improvement over those seen in the games? Why the radically different take? Some of this series is Ren and Stimpy levels of repulsive. Not what I expected when tuning into a show about Sega's cool, Hedgehog with attitude mascot. What a mess! Here are all the Sonic elements I can think of from the games that showed up in this series. 1. Sonic. 2. Tails. 3. Coconuts Badnik. 4. Grounder Badnik. 5. Scratch? Maybe? I always assumed that it must have been the Clucker Badnik from Wing Fortress in Sonic 2, but maybe I'm wrong. 6. Chaos Emeralds in the 4-part saga that also got stitched together to make a VHS special feature release called The Quest for the Chaos Emeralds. It sounds much cooler than it actually is. You'll find no Supersonic here. Number 7. Robotnik. Sort of. His redesign was the most radical, and the fella responsible was an American cartoonist by the name of Milton Knight. Look at these design notes. Here he describes drawing that sexy guy's handsome head. Keep it loose, distorted, drawn expressively, not well. Remember, Robotnik is not a straight villain, he is an object of ridicule. Looking through these notes, I can absolutely see what he was going for. Sure, it matched the style and tone of the cartoon perfectly. But outside of that, this Robotnik is, by design, horrible. This isn't representative of what Sonic was back then at all, or what it is now. But hey, why am I banging on about this? It ran for one season, right? Who cares? After that, this design surely faded into obscurity, right?
Wrong.
For God only knows what reason, Sega Europe decided to adopt the Robotnik design from Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog into just about everything. Was Sega really banking on this show being such a hit going forward that this Robotnik would be the design from this point onwards? I'd argue not, as the vastly superior SAT-AM was already being developed at the same time as this show. They can't have had much faith. And that show had a much better Robotnik, but it must have been in some marketing guidelines somewhere that this had to be the design used at that time. So now let's go through some non-Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog areas that this design popped up in. I should point out here that this may vary from region to region. I'm from the UK, and I'm not sure to what extent this design infected the USA and other regions. So I'll focus on the UK for now, where it was heavily used. It's also worth mentioning that I'm not going to include Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine here, as that was a direct tie-in game to the series. So, let's go through a few instances of this design showing up outside of the cartoon. Tomy Sonic action figures. In 1992, I think, a year before the show even released, the UK got its first Sonic figures that I was aware of. They were awful. The packaging is clearly based around the Sonic 1 video game with its checkered pattern, spring and loop-de-loop. But who's that ugly in the bottom left? It's Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog Robotnik. I still have 2 full sets of these things in my house for some reason. Next, in 1994, Panini released a Sonic the Hedgehog sticker album in Europe. I'll go into this in more depth in a future video, but for now, who's this in the top left? Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog Robotnik. Well, sort of. This picture is terrible. Tsugi, Also in 1994, Sega and McDonald's partnered up to celebrate the release of Sonic the Hedgehog 3. 4 different toys were available, consisting of Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and this thing. I believe the USA also got this Robotnik design, but while researching for this video, I see that Japan ditched this design in favor of a classic Eggman design, presumably because they wanted nothing to do with the Western cartoon, and wanted Eggman to look like the one in the game the Happy Meals were literally designed to promote. Well done, Sega of Japan, atamagai. Next, official video game artwork. Yep, that's right, this can't even start to show up in official artwork for the Sonic video games. Here he is on the cover of Sonic Triple Trouble for the Game Gear. And here he is on some variant artwork for Sonic Spinball. But who even knows what canon that game is set in, as it features elements of both SAT-AM and Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. In 1994, Tomy released Sonic and Knuckles collectibles in the UK, available in both blind bags and packs of 4. I loved these, even if the paintwork was Surprise, surprise, they were still using the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog design for Robotnik too. This time to promote Sonic and Knuckles. This set raises further questions that will be addressed in an upcoming video. The most obvious being that none of these badniks are from Sonic and Knuckles. I feel like I've made my point by now, but this f***er was everywhere. He appeared in the bulk of other Sonic merch around that time, such as this 3D board game for example. He was also used in countless books from Ladybird in the UK, such as these storybooks aimed at younger kids, these Where's Wally / Waldo ripoffs called Where's Sonic and Where's Sonic Now. There he is. There seems to be no end of these books, including this abysmal Sonic joke book that we'll cover in an upcoming video. But by far the greatest offender for pushing this design on kids was the UK Sonic the Comic, published by Fleetway. In the first 20 issues, Robotnik looked like video game Robotnik, but then in issue 21, he cocooned himself in a giant egg with the aim of changing his appearance. The story ended with a cliffhanger with him in the egg and the promise of a new design in 2 weeks' time. Lo and behold, the following issue, out popped the Milton Knight design. I remember as a child being hugely disappointed by this. What made Sonic the Comic so strange is that, as far as I can tell, this Robotnik design remained more or less the same for the rest of the comic's run, right up until 2002, almost a decade after the single season of Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. And this design still continues to this very day in its online continuation, Sonic the Comic Online. I stopped reading a long time ago, so feel free to correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but the only difference I can see is that he now wears his modern Eggman outfit. I used to love Sonic the Comic as a kid, but why they kept that awful design going for so long is truly bizarre to me. So, in conclusion, I find it bonkers that such a lousy Dr. Robotnik design from a really bad TV show that ran for just 1 season became the dominant look of one of gaming's greatest villains all throughout the 1990s, at least in the UK. I want to stress here that I mean no disrespect to Milton Knight. He had a vision. He knew what he was going for in terms of how he wanted Robotnik to look and behave, and in that regard, he knocked it out of the park. But outside of that bizarre cartoon, it wasn't the right take on the character at all, and certainly shouldn't have been the design that Sega, at least in the West, were pushing for that character. But what do you think? Did you like this design? Did your country also use this design throughout the 90s? Let me know what you think in the comments section below. And if you enjoyed the content, please leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.